Some places are amazing to visit, but tough to live in. Here are my top 5 places that are absolutely great for visiting, but where I would never be able to live. The reasons why are sometimes unexpected and strange, so stick around until the end for all my picks. 1. The Cook Islands. I dreamed about visiting the Cook Islands for ages. In fact, for a long time, I had a wallpaper with a photo from the archipelago. So when I visited New Zealand, I knew I had to take advantage of being there, and flew a few extra hours to experience the Cook Islands too. I loved the friendly local people. I loved the unique Polynesian culture. I loved the absolutely incredible snorkeling in the quiet lagoon of Aroa. I loved extremely cheap dragon fruit I could buy off a roadside stand sold by a kind local woman and her son. I loved the hot, sunny, tropical climate. It's a great place to visit and recharge your batteries, and yet I couldn't imagine myself living there. Behind all this fun stuff is a more difficult reality. The islands are dependent on New Zealand for food, infrastructure, health, education, disaster response, and many other things. In fact, the ties are so strong that all Cook Islanders are New Zealand citizens, and many of them choose to live in New Zealand instead. But why? Isolation is one of the biggest reasons. Despite the strong ties with New Zealand, you can't cheat the tough economics of importing everything from thousands of kilometers away. Groceries, fuel, building materials, vehicles, electronics. Everything has to be imported, and the shipping costs are reflected in the price. It may take weeks or months before you get a replacement part for your vehicle. Wide choice of products? Forget about it. You must learn how to adapt or go without many conveniences. If you need specialized medical care, you must fly to New Zealand. Because the economy is narrow and mostly reliant on tourism, agriculture, and some local services, your career prospects are limited. Many educated Cook Islanders leave because there are no career options at home. Then there's also the tiny population of 17,000, where it feels like everyone knows everyone. This may feel nice until you factor in personal conflicts, possibly spiraling out of control, very limited dating options, and everyday gossip. The remoteness is confining. You're isolated, dependent on another nation, with limited stimulation, repetitive routines, and the lack of diverse opportunities. Some people love that peace and simplicity, but many eventually crave more and find themselves unable to live in the Cook Islands. Now let's completely switch environments and go across the globe to a very different part of the world. 2. Lapland. I'd long wanted to visit northern Lapland. It's the wildest area in all of Europe, where true wilderness is otherwise almost non-existent. And I fell absolutely in love with the nature of this part of Finland. Endless pine forests, mirror-like lakes, mighty, untamed rivers, endless expanses of wilderness with no signs of human presence. And yet, as much as I loved visiting it, I'd never be able to live there. Life there would be too tough for me. Visiting in the summer was incredible, but year-round, no way. But why? The freezing cold winters and extreme swings in daylight would kill me. In the summer, you have 24 hours of daylight, but in the winter, for several weeks, you have none. As I recount in my video on time zones and happiness, the more extreme the difference between daylight hours in summer and winter, the more difficult it is to keep a normal routine and be healthy. Then there are winters, harsh, cold, and snowy. I suffer from seasonal affective disorder. That condition is already bad if I'm in Poland, let alone so much farther north. I absolutely hate winter, as I described in my other video on that topic, so there's no way I'd be able to live in a place with such harsh winters. I have no doubt that life there can be incredible for the hardy, cold-adapted local people. But for most outsiders, year-round life there would be extremely challenging, to say the least. Now let's go a bit further north to Finland's neighbor. 3. Northern Norway. Northern Norway was the first place in the world where I was able to experience a subarctic climate. As much as I dislike cold weather and anything that has to do with winter, which is why I went in the summer, I found the region fascinating. It was harsh, remote, and barren, but at the same time, surprisingly lush and green in some areas. I even visited some white sand beaches that look more like the Caribbean than subarctic Norway, with spectacular landscapes, ever-present wild nature, and midnight sun. A visit to northern Norway in the summer is sure to become a beautiful memory to cherish. But as a place to live, I kept asking myself how tough the people there must be. Unlike Lapland, which can be warm and pleasant in the summer, northern Norway stays on the cooler side year-round, with only occasional, slightly warmer days in July and August. It has much milder winters than Lapland. But that persistent year-round chill is much worse than having warmer, potentially pleasant summers in exchange for frigid, cold winters. In northern Norway, when the wind is blowing, even summer days are bone-chilling. The wind shapes everything there, not just the landscape, but also your everyday life. The weather is unpredictable at any time of the year. Add to that a couple of hours drive to the nearest larger city, which isn't even that big. Then throw in about 2 months of polar night, and it's only a place for the toughest of the tough. But enough about cold weather. Let's go to a place that, on paper, looks like paradise. 4. Bonaire. Bonaire is a small Caribbean island located right off the northern coast of Venezuela. For a tourist, it's as perfect as a Caribbean destination can get. It has a unique semi-arid climate that keeps its skies bright blue year-round. With constant wind during the day, even exceptionally hot days are usually bearable. It's outside the hurricane belt, so you can safely visit it even in the summer. The sea is hot all the time and has outstanding visibility and world-class reefs literally a stone's throw from the shore. You're sure to see plenty of wildlife, and not just in the water, but also in the island's surprisingly vast, well-preserved protected areas. Bonaire is a part of the Netherlands and relies on the mainland for almost all of its needs. Just as with the Cook Islands, that's one of its big problems. But I'm not here to repeat myself. There's another reason why Bonaire may be great for a visit, but is tough for living. Mosquitos. As much as I love diving on this beautiful island and basking in the constant warmth and sunny skies, mosquitoes are the main reason why I could never live there. I've traveled all around the world, including plenty of tropical destinations, and yet I've never experienced the indescribable suffering that local mosquitoes brought upon me. On the worst days, I was covered in itchy bumps. And when I say itchy, to the point you go absolutely crazy. One time, wrapped in a towel while eating in an outdoor restaurant and being eaten alive at the same time, I couldn't take the anguish any longer. I had to take the food to go. I ran to the car, then ran to the house, and begged for the itch to go away before I completely lost my mind. Speaking of losing one's mind, here's my last pick. 5. Darwin, Australia. I love visiting Australia. In fact, I love being there so much I could imagine myself living there. But one place in Australia where I could not imagine living is Darwin. Darwin is a fascinating travel destination. It had been on my list for years. When I finally arrived there, I was enchanted by its unique aura that felt like an African savanna. This region is the best place in Australia to watch wild, absolutely huge crocodiles. Its expansive national parks, whether it's Kakadu or Litchfield, are one of a kind. Even smaller, lesser-known areas like Fog Dam Conservation Reserve are magical for observing wildlife. But Darwin is hot, suffocatingly hot and humid. In fact, in Australian slang, there's a term, going troppo, which means going crazy as a result of extreme heat. And fun fact, it first appeared in an army publication from Darwin because Australian soldiers serving in the tropics coined it. In Darwin, the most oppressive season lasts roughly between November and March. I was there in April, which is right after the hottest, wettest part of the year. And yet, it was still extremely tough to function. I had to do most of my sightseeing early in the morning or in the late afternoon. And I was there as a tourist with no job to do, so I didn't have to be outside during the day. Step outside even for a moment during the day, and you're already drenched in sweat. Put on fresh clothes and get into your car before turning on the AC well in advance, and you'll instantly regret it. And since Darwin is home to countless dangerous animals, you can't even swim in the sea or any other bodies of water, lest you get eaten, stung, bitten, or otherwise damaged by some of Australia's most hospitable fauna. A visit to Darwin is unforgettable. Life there, only the toughest can handle it. What places did you love visiting, but you'd never be able to live there? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more videos exploring where to live and where not to.